Okay, it's going to be a lot of kick-ass action. Hi, Dree here. I'm the author of the upcoming book, The Destroyer, which is a science fiction book. And I want to take you behind the scenes right now with my thought process. And so I hope you enjoy this. For me, it is all about the discovery and research to make sure that what I'm writing about, although it is a fiction book, I do want it to have some foundational message of something that is real. So here's where I'm at, you all. Are you ready for this? This may be a little long. I hope not. So if you want to pause this video and go grab yourself a beverage and kick back and listen, we're going to take a deep dive into Nubia, and I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about. Now, I'm well aware of all the controversy behind the talk about if Cleopatra was black, and I'm aware of all of that. Keeping in mind that the Destroyer book, right, The Destroyer, is a science fiction. So there's going to be things like supernatural powers, but still, I want to tap into some truths. And so I'm digging deeper into Nubia, and this is what I found on National Geographic. I found some information about black pharaohs. I'm going to quickly read this to you. So black pharaohs and a once great city. Nubia once stretched south from Aswan, Egypt to modern day Khartoum, Sudan. It gave rise to one of Africa's earliest civilizations, the Kingdom of Kush, whose kings, nicknamed the Black Pharaohs, conquered Egypt in 747 BC and ruled the vast majority for nearly a century. So now I want to get a better idea of timelines, BC to AD. Now, as we know it, right, as we know our current years here, like 2023. So the more that the numbers increase means the further in time. But back then, the larger the number, and then it descends, right? It goes from a larger number, then down to a smaller number. But that is representative of over time. So it's absolutely kind of backwards to what we understand our years now, like 2023, 2024, you're going further in time. So back then, let's take 3,500, 3,400, 3,300. That is representing going forward in time. But let's take a look at this timeline. Okay, I'm on the Oddly Traveler site now. I've been looking at several timelines, and I'm just trying to find one that I can easily show you from this video where you can kind of see it and understand it. So I found this. So let's talk about timelines. 5000 BC, that's important. I want you to note that, because now after this, I'm going to go back to an excerpt of my write-up about the Destroyer and tell you why that's important. But look at there, 5000 BC, Nubian civilization in Upper Nubia originates. Now, of course, the spelling is a little different because this is not American English, but you understand what they're saying. Okay, so as I was saying, in time goes on as the numbers decrease. So look at 3200 BC. You can look at it on the screen here, but I want to bring your attention to look at, well, let's just go through it. It's very interesting. So 3100 BC, Upper and Lower Egypt unifies. Keep that in mind. So from 5000 BC to 3100 BC, I'm keeping this time frame in my mind as a writer to think about how can I incorporate Nubia into this book and incorporate it in a way where there's going to be some foundational roots for, I'm not going to tell you, but so let's keep looking. But what's very interesting, as we look at 2040 to 1600 BC, Egypt starts to expand into Nubia and take more control of the trade routes. That's also key for me. That's also key because one of the questions that I've just been kind of like, okay, let me research a little more about is like, okay, was there ever a time when Egypt and Nubians kind of, maybe got together in a way that, because they're so close as far as geographically. And then when I look at this, what I just read, Egypt starts to expand into Nubia and take more control. And my mind just kind of like, what does that look like? If you really picture this. And so it makes me think like, okay, were relationships formed or other things? That's my thinking strictly for the book as a writer of how I can incorporate Nubia. But let's keep going. I like this 760 to 656. Now that is much later after the unification of Egypt, right? But this is when the Nubian kingdom of Kush conquers Egypt to form the 25th dynasty. Okay, and then we go on to 671, Nubian power moves south to form the Moreau civilization. Anyways, I'm honing in on the 760 to 656 BC about the Nubian kingdom of Kush conquers Egypt to form the 25th dynasty. Although that's way down, I'm also very aware of 5000 BC. Okay. But then that brought me to the question of, okay, Upper and Lower Egypt, Upper and Lower Nubia. All right. You still with me? Okay. This is courtesy of Bible history. So look at this map. As you can see, there's Lower Nubia, but Upper Nubia is below. And as you can see here, the Nile River. So that explains that. But now I'm trying to think, let me put this in relation to Upper and Lower Egypt. And I need all of this background information. Yes, I do, for me, for my foundation of writing, because how I'm going to tie Nubia into what I want to tie it into. Okay, you still with me? I'll go ahead and read this from Wikipedia. Now, I found some other sources, but it's really in depth with the explanations. And so I'm going to go ahead and just use this because I think it is the most simple explanation for the sake of time and for the sake of the audience right here. Not to say if you want to take a deeper dive, feel free to look it up. But the other sources really gets deep into it, and it's a lot more reading. But here it is. Upper Nubia is the southernmost part of Nubia, upstream on the Nile from Lower Nubia. It is so called because the Nile flows north, so it is further upstream and of higher elevation in relation to Lower Nubia. Let me show you the map. So here we are, courtesy of Britannica. Let's look at this map. We see Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. And again, it's very similar, right? We have the Lower Egypt over the Upper Egypt, and there's Nubia down there. So it's all in theory because of that the Nile River flows upstream, right? Isn't that what we read? It flows upstream, right? So that's why this is like this. Now, here's the big picture for all you history fanatics out there, or people, maybe if you're still intrigued by what I'm sharing today. Here's the big picture. So look at Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, and then Kush. Here's the thing. So Ketket, the character in the Destroyer, mythical goddess, her origins are from Lower Egypt. Now, her sister is also from Lower Egypt, but in Upper Egypt is Namar, and Namar and around, what was it, 3100 BC, unified Egypt, unified the Lower and Upper Egypt. But Namar is from Upper Egypt. So, and then as we can see, let's say down the years, right, eventually there's Kush. So I have a good idea of how I'm going to find a way to tie Nubia into all of this fictional story. Here we are at thedestroyerbook.com. I'm within the About section. So look at this. I'm going to go ahead. This is about the book. I'm going to jump to the second sentence. The story revolves around Ketket, an Egyptian mythical goddess who has lived through centuries. Her origins are from Lower Egypt, dating back to 5000 BC, pre-dynastic. Did I say that right? I know it's dynasty. I think that's how you say that. Somebody tell me if it's not. Because I know the root word is dynasty, so I'm going to go with it, period. Existing before Egypt's unification around 3100 BC. Okay, so here's a hint, and I'm going to leave you with this. As you can see, her origins are from Lower Egypt. What does that mean? What does that mean? Her origins. And she's a mythical goddess, and she goes through different centuries. But I'm going to tie in Nubia into this storyline. Of course, I'm not going to tell you how, but yeah, and this is why. For me, it is so important to make sure that I get this first book right, because it sets the tone, it sets the foundation for sequels, okay? Yes, I said it, for sequels. So doing my due diligence and doing the research, although, yes, most of the book is going to be fiction, but I want to have some background knowledge about the history of the root of this story. So getting this right is important, and I appreciate your time listening. I hope this was interesting. Let me know. This is a different angle. This is just an inside look, really taking you inside of my mind of what I'm thinking about. But trust and believe me, there's going to be a lot of action. Okay, it's going to be a lot of kick-ass action in this book. And thank you.